Welcome to bonus episode 7 of Review Rewind's Summer of Star Wars.
Is it Star Wars Summer or Summer of Star Wars?
It's Summer of Star Wars, but I've always had it there, so I have to say Star Wars Summer in the intro.
This is staying in the episode. This is staying in the episode. This is the take.
Okay.
This is the take.
Alrighty. Fine. This is the podcast where two friends watch movies of old and ask, were they good? I'm Mike.
I'm Joseph.
And continuing on our journey, we're talking about Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
It is awoken. That's the term. That I know English. This is also the take. The Force has awakened, Mike.
This is the most woke Star Wars ever.
Man, I am great. That is an A+ joke.
No, it's not. It's not.
A-. Before we even get to anything, I am so stoked for this episode. I'm so stoked for
I'm actually like really stoked for the next 3 episodes because I think it's the idea of we grew up with Star Wars to a point. Like we grew up when the prequels started.
Yeah.
The special editions were in our childhood. So we had 15 plus years. No, it was because this came out in 2015. So 12 years.
Oh, yeah.
12 years or so where there was no Star Wars.
That's right.
There was no Star Wars.
Movies,
and then,
to be clear. Plenty of books, plenty of
Star
cartoons,
Wars movies, right.
comics.
But Disney bought it out.
Yep.
And this was Disney's first official go at the Skywalker saga.
That's right.
And so it had so much riding on it that we know that there are wins for the later trilogy. There's some really, 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 really good stuff that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also some failures.
Ooh,
and I think
hot take alert.
I think we're going to talk about them in some way that I don't think I've heard maybe people talk about, especially the next one.
Yeah.
I think the conversation we're going to have might actually be a unique one. I might be wrong. And if, the next one, if someone listening says, hey, I've heard that take before, comment, show me. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to dive into it more. But this one was really, this viewing of it, I actually watched it with my kids and with my wife. And, there were a few scenes where my 4-year-old daughter, my oldest 4-year-old daughter, was like enamored.
Yeah.
She like couldn't look away. And even Mila, who's 1, couldn't look away either. And so Ray and Mila enjoyed it. We put them to bed before the forest lightsaber battle, before they could completely freak out, before spoilers, the Kylo Ren Han Solo massacre of 2015. They did not see that.
They did not.
So my daughter is still naive to the realities of Star Wars in some sense.
Amazing.
But Joseph, why don't you go ahead and give us the details?
Yeah. One last quick thing, just talking about the excitement for this episode. I, of course, as I go through watching these movies, preparing for the episode, I am taking notes. I'm like writing down my thoughts and stuff, and I kind of synthesize those all together in preparation for the podcast recordings. I have to say that the notes for this episode are longer than any other episode in the saga that we've done so far by actually quite a significant margin.
I wrote a 4,000 word monologue about
No
this.
kidding. Let me check my...
No kidding. I'm lying.
I
have done that before.
Okay. I just checked it. My notes are 2,040 words long.
So this is going to be a short podcast, everyone.
I don't know. Okay, let's dive into
our what was it?
Oh, your minutes?
One of them was it A New Hope, maybe? Was an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh my gosh,
so
yeah.
We got a lot of... This is technically the next New Hope, so maybe we can
That's right.
We can match it. So.
I think it's funny, again, just peek behind the curtain, but I was wondering when episode 4's podcast was going to come out, because there was a gap between the trilogies, and you let me know that you used up all of your minutes from your podcast host.
So for how much we pay for hosting, we're limited by minutes. And
your normal episodes
immediately the
with
first
Krista.
Usually our episodes we can do a whole month, not a problem. We did 3 episodes and I went over. And so
that's incredible. So, I am so proud of us.
And I will say and we're talking about the prequels. I can already say, because we're recording this right when A New Hope, the New Hope podcast dropped.
Yep. We're a couple episodes ahead on recording.
That one's already halfway.
Yeah.
Up my minutes. So we're gonna go over again.
You'll be hearing this in like September.
Yeah. No, you'll hear it. You'll hear it eventually.
Yeah.
It'll work. It'll all work out. It'll be fine.
Amazing.
Anyway.
Okay.
So what are our details on this?
Big old details here. Rating PG-13. Only the second Star Wars movie to get a PG-13 rating. We talked about this earlier, I believe, but that was because the PG-13 rating didn't exist in the 70s and 80s. But whatever. Sci-fi, action, violence, kind of all the same stuff as the other Star Wars movies, of course. Genres, as always, action, adventure, and fantasy. The original language was English. I don't know why that hasn't been in there in previous episodes, but that's funny.
Sorry.
It's funny to clarify. Just so y'all know, this was recorded in English. It was directed by J.J. Abrams. It was written by Lawrence Kasdan, a Star Wars veteran,
old friend
of the pod. J.J. Abrams got writer's credit as well as a guy named Michael Arndt.
So I'm glad you said that, how you said that, because I looked it up. One of his first, I don't know if it was, that's not true, but when I was scoping it, I got a quick view of it. Little Miss Sunshine, he has a writing credit on. The movie adaptations of Hunger Games, he has a writing credit or 2 on one of those movies, or 2 of those movies. And then The Force Awakens, he had more, but those were kind of the ones that stuck out to me.
Love it.
I think Little Miss Sunshine got nominated for some Emmys or Oscars, and Hunger Games was such a big hit. So he has some experience in some movies that were pretty big.
Yeah.
And he's essentially helping adapt a new story to something that existed, so he has experience with that.
I just looked it up just for fun. Little Miss Sunshine won the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay, so that is no small deal.
There you go.
That is a huge award.
Right.
Okay, back to the details. Anyway,
so he's a very good writer. That's the point of what I was trying to get to.
Great writer. Release date December 18th, 2015.
I actually think this is the first one to be released in December, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah. They've always been May.
Yeah, the others weren't. Yeah. So this was the first one to really... And that wasn't... If I remember the history, I don't think that was on purpose.
It was on purpose from Disney's perspective, because they had been reserving... Okay. They started reserving the May release dates for MCU movies by that time.
Okay.
And so I
thought I remembered it got pushed back for whatever reason, but that makes sense.
So I wonder, just a quick, I'm curious, what MCU movie released in May of 2015? I'm going to check this real quick. It was Avengers Age of Ultron.
I was about to say that.
Amazing.
Because I was running through the list. I was like, well, Avengers, it was 2011.
12,
12. Yeah. And then, you run through the sequels.
Yep.
That's about enough time for the next one. So,
yeah. Runtime on episode 7, 2 hours and 16 minutes.
So about normal.
Yeah, average. Distributed by Walt Disney. Yeah.
Not Fox, but technically could be again.
That's
the
right.
Next Star Wars movie could be distributed by 20th Century Fox.
That is true. The budget. Here we go. We're talking about these numbers.
This is
insane.
Everyone, you grab onto something because this blew my mind.
If you're listening to
realize some of these numbers.
If you're listening to this podcast driving, maybe pull over. The budget for this movie was estimated to be about $245 million. I've heard reports that is on the low end of estimates. I've heard estimates.
So much money.
I've heard estimates that Episode 7 almost pushed $400 million, which is wild. But they more than made up for it, of course. Gross box office in just the U.S. and Canada alone was $936 million. And then worldwide, over $2 billion.
And that's today's money.
Yeah. No. That's in 2015 dollars.
Oh, so inflation.
So I looked this up before we started recording. You ready for this? This is incredible.
Uh-oh.
In 2020 dollars, which is still not quite 2022, year of our Lord, but even if you just adjust 5 years ahead for inflation, this movie hauled in over $2.2 billion.
Whoa.
And that was enough.
Our economy is awful.
Yeah, that was enough that at the time, Star Wars The Force Awakens was the third highest grossing film of all time, behind Avatar and Titanic.
Jeez.
Yeah. As of today, it is still in fourth place. It was only usurped, you can probably guess it,
My Fair Lady. No, Endgame.
It was Avengers Endgame. Came in and took second place all time. And so even to this day, the moment we're recording this movie...
Do those numbers, do they just account for inflation?
No. So this is not like a great measurement because of that. So like movies...
did Titanic just like demolish?
Yeah.
How much did Titanic make?
In 2020 dollars, Titanic made over $3 billion.
Man.
Yeah.
The 90s really had like a crush on Leonardo DiCaprio.
Avatar in 2020 dollars was $3.2 billion. And then
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I've never seen Avatar.
Really?
Yeah.
It's fine. It's like it's a movie. It exists. It didn't touch me. Yeah.
Well, James Cameron?
Yes.
Isn't that crazy that he gets
1 and 2?
The two highest grossing? That's wild.
That's
well, now 1 and 3.
No, it's still above Star Wars.
Endgame?
Oh, Endgame. You're right. I'm sorry. Yes.
No, you're fine.
1 and 3 all time after Endgame.
Wow.
Crazy.
All right, everyone.
We are 15 minutes into this recording. Let's hear that synopsis.
30 years after the Battle of Endor, a new threat has risen in the form of the First Order and the villainous Kylo Ren. Meanwhile, Rey, a young scavenger, discovers powers that will change her life and possibly save the galaxy.
Okay.
I like it. Short and sweet.
Super short, yeah. Really not a lot of detail, but you could just say that's on purpose.
But it technically... We are introduced to the entities that will be the villain throughout the new trilogy. We know the First Order exists.
Yeah.
We just need to know what the First Order is. And then we know the new main character is Rey. And it's like mysterious about what's the power? What's the power?
Yeah.
But yeah,
love it.
Short, sweet, gets to the point. What did you think of the movie overall?
Whoo boy, here we go. Strap in, everybody. You're going to be pulling over a lot if you're driving. Not really. Okay.
No.
Y'all, I've said this, I think this is how I've started the answer to this question for at least 4 or 5 of the episodes we've recorded so far. But goes without saying, I love this movie. But I want to talk about how I love this movie beyond the fact that it was just, I think, a good movie. I'm sure we will talk about many of the ways I believe this is a great piece of filmmaking from a critical writing, perspective and all that kind of stuff. This movie is itself just very good. But the main reason why I love this movie is because of, and this is kind of a weird way to put it, but almost the historical context that it has in my life. Because this, episode 7, is the movie that turned me into the Star Wars fan that I am today. And
it held a blaster to your head. And never been the same.
Beyond my will, for sure. Yeah. No. I've talked about this before, right? But I've grown up, or I should say, I grew up watching episodes 1 through 6 extensively. I always loved them. I've always known them well. And to be honest, even with the prequel trilogy, like, they still came early enough in my life that I can't really consciously remember a time in my life where they weren't familiar to me. So this is where episode 7 is super different. This movie was released and I was 22 years old. And it was the first time in my adult life, my maybe more critical eye towards movies, my more mature way of whatever life and thinking and stuff. It was the first time that I, as an adult, had seen a new Star Wars property. And that's the case for millions of people around the world. And Star Wars, again, is something so familiar to me, but seeing it portrayed in a truly modern aesthetic was breathtaking. Very high quality, very high quality cinematography, dialogue, acting, CGI, etc. We'll talk about all these details later, I'm sure. But watching this movie in theaters in 2015, I was so captivated by it because it was the only movie that I had ever seen. It's the only movie that could have ever existed for me that I had, or I should say, that had so many elements that I was familiar with and nostalgic for, but also was really high quality from beginning to end in every single frame. And it's just a fun movie. So yeah, I think episode 7 for me, my overall thoughts, it ignited the passion that I have for Star Wars to this day. And it compelled me, after seeing it, to actually dive into everything else that I love about Star Wars. Before seeing this movie, I had never ventured into the cartoons, the comics, the novels, any other kinds of stories, or even Star Wars theories and rumors and news, right? But this is the movie that changed all of that for me. Which is
without this movie, there would be no Star Wars or Destroy the Shield Generator.
It's true though,
podcast.
right? If Disney never bought Star Wars, and let's just pretend George Lucas is retired and whatever, and episodes 1 through 6 is literally just about all we ever get, at least on the big screen or on TV, included, right, or whatever. Let's put it this way. If 1 through 6 is all we ever get of live action Star Wars, I think that Star Wars just continues to perpetually hold the same status and value in my life that it did when I was a kid, where it's I'll watch them every once in a while and they're pretty cool, but it's not just this super ecstatic part of me.
Right. Yeah. That's a great experience. That's a great realization. To understand. As you were talking about that, I'm trying to think, this may be the first movie that fully and absolutely, utterly embraces nostalgia.
Yes.
In a way that I don't think any other movie could. Like, I'm trying to think of it, and I don't think there's a movie in existence prior to this one that has the ability to do that, like, nostalgic pull. Because even Indiana Jones, you know, it was just like another Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
Other reboots and stuff, sometimes they make reference to the original one. But this, I feel like maybe, I gotta be wrong. I must be wrong, but my brain can't think of another. This is the first movie that I feel like was released that took an old property and was able to deliver the old stuff into the new one without making it distracting.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking of like Tron, but Tron as a property was never Star Wars.
Yep.
It was never something to the magnitude that was Star Wars, but Star Wars was, everyone saw it. Like, there's a small population who did not see it, and it's part of people's childhood. It's genuinely good. The original trilogy is genuinely good. And so you have this new movie that takes those old things and makes it new and really tugs at your heart with the nostalgia. You know, I can remember watching Force Awakens in the movie theater, and the moment that Han Solo walks onto the Millennium Falcon, I was in tears.
Yeah, me too.
And
me too.
I will say,
we're home.
Watching it 2 days ago, I was in tears again.
Yes.
I don't. Excuse the phraseology. Whatever. Sorry, I'm not good at this. So. It's fan porn. Like, it's fan porn, but here's the thing. I think sometimes when people reboot something or they're using an older property and adding on to it, everyone tries to utilize this, like, this fan service to some extent, and I feel like most people fail. This one does it so well. When you see Han, when you see Chewbacca, when you see the Millennium Falcon under the blankets, when you hear the jokes that people say throughout it that essentially are references to the past, when you see Princess Leia, and at the end when you see Luke, everything is given that, like,
there it is, you know, like, there's this excitement.
And I cannot think, and even the next movies fall short of that. This one is the one that, like, nails it.
It does. It
nails it
really
so
does.
well.
It really does.
And I think it needs its credit in that. I will be the first to say that I like J.J. Abrams films. I don't like J.J. Abrams as a director and a creator. And I say that because that sounds like I'm contradicting myself. He has the talent to put a good film together with the right talent. With the right talent around him, he can make a really good film. But when he is, like, 100% in control, where he's taking it, I just hate some of the things he does. This movie feels like he didn't have 100% control. And I think it was better for that. And we'll talk about that more when we come back to him in two movies. But let's focus in on this one.
I was just going to say that about I've heard it said before. I don't know where this came from. But if you look back actually at his career, especially with Lost and some of the Star Trek films, like J.J. Abrams, I've heard people say this before. This isn't my own words, but I guess they are my words because I'm repeating them. But, like, it's not my original thought, is what I'm trying to say. J.J. Abrams is great at starting stories and opening up mysteries.
I was just about to say that, because thinking at his career, and he nails that.
Yeah. But he's not as good at closing and resolving stories.
Star Trek, for instance, I watched. So when I was in college, I lived at the house of this wonderful couple that I went to church with, and they brought me in and they treated me like their kid. And they, the whole thing. But they were amazing to me. And during the summer, when I was off school but I had time, we would watch movies together and we'd watch shows, and we watched the entire Star Trek series.
Wow.
And we watched all 5, well, I say all 5, but the first 5 of the Star Trek movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I did have this nice connection to Star Trek. I said Star Wars. I meant Star Trek movies, and 1 through 5 we saw. And so when these new ones came out, I had like some understanding of Star Trek. And the first one I thought was a great take on it.
Yeah.
Like super good. And it did a great job. The second one sucked.
Was that the one with Benedict Cumberbatch?
Yeah, because it was like he had the pieces to put the puzzle together, and then he just started like cutting the puzzle pieces and then putting it together and then being like, see, I made the puzzle work. And it's like, no, they were there. You didn't have to do that. You had the potential there. All you had to do was like 3 things different. But, so there's that, but also a little bit of movie insight. J.J. Abrams has this theory about movies, and he calls it the mystery box.
Yes.
And when he does lectures and stuff like that, he always kind of talks about it. And he shows this mystery box that he bought when he was like 10 or 11, when he was a kid. He was a kid when he bought it. And he goes into this great diatribe about it and creates this great mystique, and he never like opens the box.
Yeah.
And he says that's the point.
Right.
He's like, the point is the mystery box, the mystery, the mystique. That's the point. And that's how he builds his worlds. That's how he builds his movies, with that as like the foundation. And I, as a enjoyer of films, but also as someone who teaches storytelling in the scope of music and songs, no, like you can't do that all the time. It's good. It's good for a portion. It's good for once in a while as a tool to move the plot along or to create tension. Yeah, that's great. The mystery box is great. But if you're building the entire foundation of the film on that,
right,
it's not enough. And I think with this one, he didn't get to do that. He didn't get to do that. In some
ways, if I may interject, I feel like Luke is the mystery box. But
which is a character that we're
familiar with them. So it's not like,
ooh,
you know what I mean?
So I guess you can look at it to keep talking about the metaphor a bit. It's not a mystery box. It's like lost keys.
The mystery of it, and we'll talk about this. This is my point for. I don't want to spoil what I'm going to say for the next question, but the mystery is, why is Luke not around? That's the mystery.
Yeah.
But we are familiar with Luke.
And it never gets answered
in 7. No.
So he does get to accomplish that, but I guess the mystery box isn't the foundation of, because that's not the foundation of the story. That's just that's the real.
Luke is the MacGuffin.
That's the
Luke is the MacGuffin.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he is. Do you want to explain what a MacGuffin is? Just for people who don't know.
Sort of like it's sort of like the term mystery box. A MacGuffin is an item in telling a story where it is sort of this item that like a character has to go get. It is something that needs to be retrieved, and it is the sort of the impetus for action to occur. It is the reason why action happens, is people are pursuing a thing. I just looked it up because my definition sucked. It's an object, device, or event that is necessary to the plot and the motivation of the characters, but insignificant in and of itself.
Right. Like the suitcase in Pulp Fiction, or like the Declaration of Independence in
National Treasure. Yep.
Because in the reality, while that's a piece of the puzzle, that's not the ultimate goal.
Yes.
The ultimate goal isn't the Declaration of Independence, but that's just something that they need to use and get to, but that's what the MacGuffin is. So Luke is that.
That's right.
He's something that motivates, something that pushes the story along, but ultimately you could have The Force Awakens without the last scene.
I'll get to that later too.
Because that last scene is
the
most of the fan service.
Yep.
All right. So,
but before going on to the next, were you about to ask the best part about the movie question?
Yes.
Let me say one more thing about the overall thing. I have this. I'll warn you. This is going to be a long thing, but
go for it. That's fine.
It doesn't fit in any of the other questions, and so I just had to sneak it in here. But it's like I'm trying to sneak in like a cargo ship. It's not small. One of the most fascinating parts about Episode 7 to me is the parallels that exist between Episode 7 and Episode 4. They are quite extensive, and this is, to be clear, intentional. This is something that Kathleen Kennedy, J.J. Abrams, etc. have all shared as being part of the writing process. They did not want to stray away from the original trilogy, and in fact, in many ways, they wanted to replay certain themes and even some scenes in this new generation to kind of lay the foundation. So what I did, this is so funny to me, what I did was I started, as I was watching Episode 7, I was just keeping tabs on all the similarities. And then when I got to the end of the movie, I had all these like bunch of like scattered bullet point notes and whatever, and I actually rewrote it into like paragraph form. And so what I want to read to you.
Oh my.
I had so much fun.
I'm ready for this.
I had so much fun doing this. I'm going to read to you a couple of paragraphs and call it a short, essay or whatever. Everything I'm about to say is 100% specifically accurate for Episode 7, and also 100% accurate for Episode 4. Are you ready? And I'll take this kind of in chunks, and we can talk about little bits and pieces here and there. Okay? So here we go. The movie begins with a main character who is a commander in a rebellion against an evil empire, giving mission-critical information to their droid for safekeeping. The droid escapes the scene before that main character is then captured by a Sith Lord and tortured by the bad guys to try to get the whereabouts of that droid. The Sith Lord is an evil, masked antagonist dressed in black who wields a red lightsaber and talks with a modulated voice. The information that the droid is carrying is essential to the survival of the rebellion, and the Sith Lord is looking to capture the droid and prevent that information from spreading. However, the villain arrives on scene shortly after the information has been handed off. The droid then finds himself wandering through an empty desert before being found and collected up by scrappers. In pursuing the droid, stormtroopers wipe out a desert settlement and its inhabitants. Okay, so there's like part one. I'm just in terms of sections. That's like the beginning, the droid, the desert, etc. Okay, next little section. By sheer chance, the droid is rescued from the scrappers by a lonely and unknowingly force-sensitive individual. This person, who will later become the movie's central hero, dreams of a more adventurous life among the stars, but is instead tied to their desert home by a complicated family situation. After discovering that the droid carries such valuable information, the main hero sets off to get the droid back into the possession of those rebels. However, in doing so, they need the wisdom and the assistance of an old warrior who was essential to victories in the previous Star Wars trilogy. That hero has to explain to the younger character not just the destructive capabilities that the evil empire has over the galaxy, but the very nature of the Force and the once great Jedi Order itself. During this explanatory period, the main character is also given possession of a lightsaber once owned by Anakin Skywalker. Okay, next section. Meanwhile, the power structure within the evil empire is complex, to say the least. In addition to that Sith Lord shown in the opening scenes, there is also a ruthless military general that holds immense authority over the Empire's weaponry. That general specifically desires to quickly implement a recently finished spherical superweapon to destroy a planet and force the rest of the galaxy to submit to their Empire's power. However, the general and the Sith Lord often jockey for influence, and they quarrel over just how influential the Force really is in the war that they're fighting. Although the Sith Lord depends on the Force for his power, the general passes it off as useless superstition. Finally, wielding even more power than the both of them is a mostly shadowy, unseen emperor pulling the strings from behind a curtain. Next section.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm like halfway through this. It's phenomenal. Next section. The movie also features a criminal organization that is owed a hefty debt by Han Solo. Having had enough of Han's theft and lying, this organization intends to kill him after he screws up yet another one of their deals. Han tries to talk his way out of the situation before resorting to violence to ultimately escape. Han and Chewbacca are also seen in a cantina filled with a diverse array of alien life forms, along with all their gambling and music. Many of the patrons of this cantina are able to offer safe passage through the Empire's controlled space to those that need it, and at least one of the major characters is intent on purchasing these services. At the moment of a critical decision, one of the main characters actually chooses to abandon the fight out of his own self-preservation, but he eventually returns to save the other heroes from certain death. Next section. The older warrior himself, a father figure, is killed with a red lightsaber by someone that they previously helped raise, who has since turned to the dark side. Meanwhile, the main character from the desert watches this old hero's death helplessly from the other side of a deep pit. Lastly, the movie concludes with a massive battle in the skies above that spherical superweapon. Rebel forces set off to destroy it from their hidden base on a forest-covered moon. General Leia Organa monitors the coordinated aerial attack from a command center back on that moon. Although hope seems lost at one point, the battle is remarkably won by the rebellion after a single X-Wing successfully navigates a trench run that exposes a single unique vulnerability in the superweapon, causing its destruction. A massive explosion gives the rebels a major victory against the Empire, but manages to allow that Sith Lord to survive to fight another day. Several of the main heroes escape the blast in the Millennium Falcon, and with their hidden base now discovered by the Empire, the rebels must operate from a new base in the next installment of the saga. Done.
I believe this was just the plot of Air Force One.
That too.
Honestly, that's bonkers.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because, man, I don't think I realized that much parallel. Like, I knew that Rey was parallel to Luke. Like, I knew that was happening. I also knew that, like, the Resistance was parallel to the Rebellion. For whatever reason, I did not realize that Han Solo was just doing it all over again.
Yeah. Han Solo is Obi-Wan in Episode 4.
Well, Han Solo is Han Solo for the first half.
That's also true, too. Yes.
Yeah.
But
he's just Han Solo being Han Solo in the same spot he was 35 years prior.
Mm-hmm.
And then he turns into Obi-Wan after he is rekindled with his love and, you know.
That's right.
Kind of put back into that place of, like, the general that he was.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't until Leia came in that his heroism resurfaced. But that is bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
What's funny is that it's not just, like, these specific kind of, like the trench run, for instance, right? Like, that's a pretty specific thing. But what I find is remarkable is, like, the themes are repeated. Like, Han Solo, like, this is a good one, right? Like, the old warrior who is a father figure kind of gives himself up to his own death by a red lightsaber, by someone that they used to love and help raise and stuff. Like that thematically is identical. And it's not just the specific, like, oh, like, this looks the same.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's great. Harrison Ford finally got the thing he was fighting for.
That's right. Since 30 episode 4, since the original movie.
Yeah, that would have been like 35 years.
Yeah,
36,
just about
37 years prior. He was fighting for it and didn't get it until this last bit where he's, you know, it's crazy because he's like 80 now.
Today's his birthday, I think, as we're recording this.
I think what did he turn, 81?
Today is July 13th. We're recording this. He is 80 years old today.
80. So he just turned 80. So 7 years ago, well, let's do 8 years ago.
Yeah.
He was 72, which, crazy enough, is 10 years older than Alec Guinness was at A New Hope. Yeah, Alec Guinness was 62? In his early 60s. Yeah.
Oh, he looks way older than that in episode 4.
Well, and okay, so now we can kind of talk about it, I think, because we're out of the original trilogy.
Sure.
A lot of people were kind of focused on the fact that Ewan McGregor is younger, quote unquote, than Alec Guinness.
A little bit.
Well, here's the thing. Obi-Wan, the show, is 9 years before A New Hope. Ewan McGregor is literally 11 years younger than Alec Guinness was during A New Hope.
Wow.
So in 9 years, he'll be 60 when Alec Guinness was 62 when filming it, So as far as like actors, age, and everything, Ewan McGregor is like perfect.
Yeah.
He's perfectly the right age. It's just, you can just say it's because Tatooine has 3 sons or 2 sons or whatever.
Yeah.
So it just really burns the skin, man. It's not good for them. Oh
man,
United Kingdom.
Yeah, the fair skin of
English sounding aliens. Right. That's bonkers though. Like all of that, how paralleled it is.
Yeah. So anyway, that wraps up my overall feelings. Again, I wasn't going to call that a positive or a negative. That was just sort of an overall.
No, I think that's, like you said, it was intentional. And I think Lawrence Kasdan probably had a hand in helping to create that, because while he didn't do A New Hope, he did enough of the original trilogy to kind of know what George was aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he probably helped build that world around those themes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Love it.
So what did you like best about the movie?
Yeah. I was going back and forth. I'll say like the simpler answer first, and then sort of the more, I guess, philosophical answer, and then I have a couple, like as always, a couple small bullet points kind of at the end. So first of all, I just want to say, I alluded to this at the beginning, said that we would come back to it, but just, I think, incredibly high quality filmmaking all around.
I agree, and I don't know if he'd ever admit it, but I think visually, this movie visually was what George Lucas always envisioned.
Mm-hmm.
Like what he had in his head for the CGI and the abilities of movie making.
Yeah.
Because it is stunning. It is a stunning
really
movie.
Good. In my opinion, this might be a bit of a hot take, but given the benefit of like time and how, technological advances and stuff, it's not actually that shocking to say. But I think that Episode 7 has the highest filmmaking quality of the whole saga. What do you think about that statement?
Are you speaking as far as like the filmmaking aspect of like cinematography, writing?
Yep. Plenty of elements.
CGI.
Cinematography, CGI, dialogue, writing, acting, set design, costume design, creature design.
So that you're saying
sound,
that 7
music.
is the best of that.
Yeah, 7 is the best entire package of like the craftsmanship that went in to producing this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd agree. I think it has one of the best soundtracks.
Yep.
I think the Resistance theme is fantastic. I think the First Order theme is great.
Rey's theme is beautiful.
Rey's theme, Kylo's theme, and then bringing in the original themes of the Force and of Leia. And
yep.
It's so good. Like, John Williams outdid himself.
Yeah.
Visually, it is the most stunning of all of them, and that's funny because of there are 2 more movies
after,
and I don't think they come close to what is achieved in this one.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about that, but maybe we should save that for those episodes.
But I think I agree with that. Writing's great. Dialogue is great. The jokes actually land.
Yeah.
Like this one is also like the funniest without being over the top. Like it's solid. The jokes are solid.
Yeah.
The characters, the new characters are really great. You know, Poe comes in with getting the plan or the map, you know, trying to escape, and then is immediately faced with Kylo, which, like, Leia is immediately faced with Darth Vader. And what's funny is, if you think back, Leia is spunky from the get-go, and Poe is just what the 2015 version of spunky is, which is just talks too much.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, do I talk? Do you talk? Who talks first?
So good.
You know, like, but it's not, I don't think any of the jokes are over the top. Like, no. I think they land, and I think they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
I would add to that too. I was going to talk about sort of the pacing of it and stuff. I would say, I would word what you just said. I 100% agree. I'd word it like to say that there really there's no downtime in this movie. Bless you.
Excuse me. There is a portion where I disagree with that, because there was one spot where, because I was feeling that before I came in, and there was one spot where maybe it was because I've seen it too many times, but there was a part that just lost me. It didn't hold me, but then it brought me right back in.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what that was, but it was just
for me, that the scene in the movie that I like, I don't skip it, but I have the most inclination to skip is like the fight with the Rathtars and like the two gangs.
I actually love that, because I think that I enjoyed that. It's the scene where Han and Rey get to the Resistance. Or no, Han and Finn get to the Resistance. There's a point where it's the battle plan scene all over again. But for whatever reason, this time I was like, all right, I don't.
Interesting.
Can we get to it?
Yeah.
Can we get to it? You know, It felt like exposition.
Sure.
Like it was just, you know, hey, we got to move the plot along. Here's some plot stuff.
Yeah.
Plotty plot.
The thermal oscillator is here.
Yeah.
And that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
I don't disagree with that.
But it brought me back in pretty quick.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. I almost have a feeling I don't know if this is a weird thing to say or not, but maybe it makes more sense than I am initially thinking. The Force Awakens almost feels like a Marvel movie in that sense, where it's so fast paced and there's just like looks and lines and stuff happening all over the screen at once, and it just is hitting all of these beats in ways that I think are like mostly effective.
I think that just might be our movie temperament.
Sure.
Like that's just how movies are made.
That's fair.
In the 20 teens and beyond. And I don't like it's not a bad thing per se, but you know, doing this podcast, Chris and I have watched movies from the 80s, maybe more than we recently have, and pacing is just a different beast.
Yeah. For
movies that are good, that are very good, pacing is just not the same. Like it didn't hold the same value, maybe, or aspects of pacing in older movies emphasize different things. So like the original Star Wars, one of the big things that held a special place in pacing is wide terrain shots.
Yeah.
Where it would, transition whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So like you'd have the story happens,
it's like an establishing
dialogue stop, but it's the end of a scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a reestablishing shot.
Gotcha.
And that is a lot of transitions. This movie, I might be wrong, not much of those. When it transitions, it's transitioning to another point in time where important information is about to be given, or it's establishing this new world, this new scene, this new whatever it is. There isn't this dead space to... It's almost like the reestablishing shots are like breathing room.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And they don't have a lot of breathing room. And that's not necessarily bad, because I think especially movies nowadays, breathing room is brought within something that still has significance within the story or the plot, rather than just, hey, here's Jabba's palace.
Sure.
For a shot, just for, fun. Now we have, hey, we're transitioning to a First Order fleet, where you see how critically huge what the Resistance is fighting.
Right.
So it still has information that's important to the story or important to context. So there is that breathing room, I guess, but it's not the same as like just a blank shot. Yeah.
You're saying something that is actually quite adjacent to what I was going to say next too, which is great. I wanted to talk about the cinematography specifically, and I have I want you and I want the audience to remember this, because I want to bring this back up in episodes 8 and 9. This point, I have a very informal way of deciding if I like the cinematography of a movie or not.
Oh, okay.
It's informal, super simple, and I think it actually makes a lot of sense. The metric is how many shots in the movie, or how many like frames of the movie would I want to pause and take a screenshot and make my desktop background.
Like the James Webb photos?
Yeah, exactly. So episode 7, and actually, to be fair, going back 1 through 6, I think that these kinds of moments are like scattered throughout, but I think cinematography has improved overall across cinema in recent decade or two. So it's fair to say, in my opinion, episode 7 and a little bit of 8 has some of my favorite cinematography in Star Wars. And so in this movie, just off the top of my head, I can think of on Jakku, where you have like the Star Destroyers like buried in the sand. Amazing.
The fleet skeleton field.
Beautiful. Like simultaneously really visually stunning, and also telling a story.
Yeah.
Like the Empire's over,
Right.
So that,
which a detail in The Last Jedi makes that scene really confusing.
Yes. We'll get to that.
But anyway.
Yeah. TIE fighters in the sunset.
Yeah.
How, like, that shot, I remember in theaters getting hit with that shot and just being like, whoa. Because you have, it's such a subtle thing, but if you notice, the exhaust coming out of the TIE fighters creates, like, the heat distortion.
Right.
That's, like, rising. Like,
it's pushing the air, it's pushing light.
Yeah. Like
they nailed it. They nailed the physics on it.
It's as if they actually had like jet engines in them, and you get like that distort. Anyway, beautiful, absolutely stunning, and it's just sheer orange. The whole screen is yellow.
Right.
Also, the X-wings coming over the water, and you have that side shot with you get the S foils opening, and you're kind of just looking straight into the middle of those wings, and so good. So many shots of Starkiller Base and the weapon firing and stuff. Like, the cinematography in this movie is brilliant, and the way that I know that is there are like 10 scenes that I would make my desktop background. As dumb and informal as that is as a metric, I think that's actually a super effective tool to measure that by.
Yeah, I think so too. I would be under the same metric and this would win because I would just be freeze framing Oscar Isaac all the time because he's such a beautiful man. But,
dear.
You know, now that you say that, I think where the CGI hits the most, or like really commands itself over the rest, and in that conversation of cinematography, is the physics.
Yeah,
the physics finally look right.
Yes. Oh, what a good point. Yes,
because the CGI still holds up for some of the prequels, but I think maybe that's what the biggest downfall of those were. The physics just doesn't look right.
That's right.
Like even with
all
the water,
yeah,
but even the water, like the physics in the water doesn't look right. Thinking at that shot where, you know, the X-Wing is going over the water. Now that you say that, if you watch it closely, you can see the tremor of the X-Wing fighting gravity, fighting the force that it's pushing through, and the water reflecting that. The water moving with that too. There's that jitter that when something's going really fast, that it's getting, you know, hits of wind resistance at certain points, and they nailed it. Like, it looks so good.
I'll give you another really good example from this movie of that, and you're totally, I had not thought about this, but this is totally correct, is when they hop into the Millennium Falcon and they take off, and they're kind of like wobbly, and like they're crashing into the dirt, and they're crashing through that like gate thing, and like there's a lot of like particle effects and like dust and debris getting like blown everywhere,
and it doesn't look like pixelated stuff. It looks like dust and debris.
Like, you're right, the physics engine and the processing power that it takes to render that many individual objects in gravity, they could not have done that in the early 2000s, like to make that look as good as they did, but they do.
Oh man,
how fun!
That's I think one of the things that sold me on the cinematography, and I'll give J.J. Abrams credit because I'm sure his direction had a lot to do with it, but looking back, I wish it was something that Lucas had utilized. Maybe that's the word I'm thinking of. But the idea is how when Kylo uses the Force, there's this intensity and, like, for lack of a better term, there's like violence behind it. When he's holding anyone in place, there's this weird, like, uncomfortable shake from them. And
I love how they filmed that.
The blaster that's
freezes,
held in time, he freezes, and then Poe and the stormtroopers walk by it, and the camera turns around it, like it goes around. That there is nothing in the first 6 movies that comes close to the detail and the visual of, like, one, that blaster is real. 2,
it's dangerous.
Kylo is holding that blaster in place. Like, and it's good that was within the first scene.
Yes.
Because that immediately locks you in.
It establishes his power too. Yeah.
It establishes his power. It establishes that his use of the Force is different than anything that has occurred before. And it establishes visually, like, this is going to be a movie unlike the ones prior, and I think it holds true to that.
Yeah.
Man, we have talked a long time about cinematography, but it is really good
it's
in
good.
this movie.
It's so good. I haven't even shared like the that was the short thing for what I loved about the movie. The more philosophical thing I alluded to earlier, the more philosophical thing that I love about this movie, and this is actually my favorite part of the movie, is we alluded to this earlier too, but the decision to not feature Luke Skywalker. This is something that Michael Arndt, I found this quote from Michael Arndt. He was one of the writers. He's actually the first and the main writer of Episode 7. He had this quote. He said, early drafts had Luke Skywalker appear about halfway through the film, but we found that every time Luke came in and entered the movie, he just took it over. Suddenly you didn't care about your main character anymore. So here's my thinking around this. Coming off of Episode 6, if you put yourself back into like 2014 or whatever, and you're like, oh, new Star Wars is coming, sequel trilogy, right? The essential questions around what is this sequel going to be about, they all have to revolve around Luke, because he's the last Jedi. He's the only remaining like fully fledged, fully trained warrior that we know of. He's, of course, one of two people in the bloodline of Anakin, but Leia, as far as we knew, never got trained or anything. So it's all about Luke, right? What is he up to? Who is Luke Skywalker? And I think critically, what has he accomplished since Episode 6? And choosing to write a movie where Luke is completely absent, like literally, Luke is almost not in this movie at all.
Right.
That is a distinct choice that the writers had to make, and an interesting choice to say the least. And I frankly remember being in the theaters thinking like, I knew kind of going into it that Luke wasn't much a part of the movie from reviews and whatever. But I do remember like feeling disappointment around that time of like not getting to just see like a fully trained Luke Skywalker with 30 years of success under his belt, just like kicking butt. Right. But the more that I reflected on this, and this has been years in the making, like the more I realize how brilliant of a decision that is by the writers. Not just for what Michael Arndt said about like he takes up all the space and the oxygen in the room. But also, like, if Luke is just Luke in Episode 7, like, what possible story or enemy or conflict could you develop that isn't just a rehash of the original trilogy and its its conflict, its central conflict? So the fact that Luke is absent, as we talked about earlier, immediately becomes the point of the movie, and that's inherently intriguing, because the last we've seen of Luke Skywalker, at least in 2015, you know, since then we have The Mandalorian and Boba Fett and stuff, but the last we've seen of Luke Skywalker is like he just saved his dad and now he's the only Jedi, so he's probably going to be pretty good, you know. Like he's probably doing pretty well for himself, and for all we know, he's, you know, been successful and trained a bunch of new Jedi and whatever, right? But yeah, an Episode 7 where you just have this like successful Luke with like a new Jedi Order, like I don't know what movie that is and why that needs to exist, and they knew that and didn't write that, which is just awesome.
Yeah, and I think it gives an opportunity because, yeah, like if you put Luke in, you have to answer questions.
Yeah.
Questions have to be answered at that point. So, like, where have you been? What have you been doing? What can you offer to the story?
Yeah.
And it takes away from the fact that, like, Han and Leia are a story unto themselves that needs to get answered.
Yep.
Kylo falls under that category of what needs to be answered. And, you know, the movie would lose so much if it did have Luke in it.
Yeah.
And, I don't think it ruins the movie but I think it was a bad call to have Luke at the end of the movie.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
That scene should have just been the beginning of Last Jedi, and that would have been fine. That would have been fine, but they had to.
Spoiler alert for the next question.
Yeah.
So yeah, like to put that another way, I think for episode 7 to be successful, of course Luke needed to be out of the picture, because then it forces the story to revolve around why Luke is out of the picture. Right. And in fact, you mentioned like Han and Leia, and that got me thinking about how that's another sort of, I think, a natural expectation coming out of episode 6. Okay, Luke is successful. Another one is like Han and Leia are like a happy family. The Republic's doing well. The Empire's gone. It's just like plus 30 years, right? But this movie subverts like all of those expectations. Luke is missing. Han and Leia aren't actually together anymore. The Republic is kind of a farce and gets blown up like an hour into the movie. There is a new empire. Like it without just like pressing reset, it kind of systematically sets up its own story by just saying like all these things that you thought you could just assume were true are actually not, and here's why. And then
you know what's the best part of that?
Yeah, what's up?
The best part of that is it's our expectations are wrong because of what the story is being told. Like the story being told, the idea that Han would suddenly just be reformed and everything would be hunky-dory. But the reality is the path that we find him makes complete and utter sense.
It does, actually, knowing Han.
This is his outcome, and Leia's, the heartache of losing your son to what happened she would still fight.
Yeah.
She would continue on. Even Luke being missing makes a lot of sense because in the original, how often did he go off on his own?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was, so you could have, like, we didn't have to have an answer outside of Luke is gone. And it was one of those like, yep, he is. Because that's something he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think that's out of the ordinary. I actually think that makes perfect sense within the scope of it. I just think that we kind of apply our own fantasy of how we hope the happy ending happens, but the reality is how these characters are built. Han would totally go back to what he was doing. Leia would absolutely go back to the fight if it was presented, which it is, and Luke would find a way to isolate himself.
Yep. You know what's funny? Real quick on Leia, but you reminded me of something. This is not covered in the movie. This comes from a novel called I think it's called like Bloodline or Bloodlines or something like that. It's a subtle thing, but there's a reason why Leia is not a senator, and it's not just because she doesn't want to be. It's because the sort of the realization that Darth Vader was her father being made public kind of tarnishes her political career.
Oh.
And so that's another. That's not really covered in the movies.
But that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Like the revelation of Return of the Jedi would like destroy her reputation.
Absolutely.
Not because she did anything wrong.
Yeah.
Point of fact, I am currently listening to the Dollop podcast. This is a not paid plug for the Dollop podcast. And they're going through Aaron Burr right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Aaron Burr could be surmised as a man with good intention, riddled by liars and people of power who just try to destroy his reputation.
Sure.
And Leia would have been, because they make a point of saying, like, the political climate would have been insane at the point where the Empire falls.
Also, another, this is also, it's kind of funny. Another reason why she's not a senator is that her home world doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
So that's obviously another element to it. But basically, she's not allowed to get anywhere in the New Republic because of her father having, done some pretty bad stuff.
Wild.
To say the least. Anyway, so that's like her sort of,
right.
I don't know what to call it, almost like her disappointing outcome, where Luke vanishes, right. Han is still a scoundrel, Leia doesn't go anywhere politically. Like, that is her side of that,
right.
Inter-trilogy time period.
Well, and I think it's interesting too, because that just shows her perseverance through it all.
Yeah, she just sticks with military stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you have any other bests, or do we want to move on?
Super quick bullet points. Number one, I love that this movie humanizes stormtroopers. This is something that no other Star Wars property had done before it, but Finn is a really compelling character in this movie among many compelling characters. It's
absolutely
brilliant to show the struggle, the shot. Oh my gosh, the shot of him at the beginning of the movie where they're firing on the villagers, and it zooms in on him, and he's not firing, is so good. Anyway, that's number one. Number two, we talked about this, and I believe the episode 6, maybe 5 or 6 podcast. But I talked about how the planets. I think Star Wars is at its best when the planets and the geography itself is a character. And this movie introduces new planets that carry that and that have character. So Jakku, I talked about the Star Destroyer in the sand. I actually really like the planet Takodana, which is where Maz Kanata's castle is.
And where they have endless Taco Tuesdays.
Taco Tuesdays. When they first go to Takodana, and Rey is like, I've never seen this much green in the whole galaxy. Yeah. And she's just like standing, like staring at the lake, like, this is so beautiful. And then Starkiller Base is awesome. I love the design, by the way, of Starkiller Base.
I do too. It makes no sense to me.
It does not work on a physical level.
Because they're firing that shot
in the atmosphere.
And Huck's platform, it could be 300, 400 miles, 500 miles. That's still too close for how much energy
that is way too close, yeah.
I
read where did this come from? I read it might have been like a Randall Munroe, like he's the XKCD, and he's How To, and a couple other fun books like that, like physics and science stuff.
Yeah.
It may have been him. It also may not have been him. So, but anyway, it was taking Starkiller Base very seriously scientific, and basically made the point, first of all, if you dig a big trench in the middle of your planet like that, gravity...
It's going to fall apart.
Not only is it going to fall apart, not only is a planet's mantle not going to be that thick that you'll be digging into lava, but the gravity is going to pull all of your atmosphere into that trench, so you're not going to be able to breathe on the surface anymore. And the fact that, like you said, the weapon unleashing the power of like the sun is going to
the radiation alone, like every single person would have died.
Makes absolutely no physical sense.
Yeah. But and then too, the planet wouldn't have been able to hold it.
Correct.
That's trying to say that like any of the cores of any of the planets in our galaxy could hold the energy of the sun.
None
of them could. None of them. It would create another sun.
Yeah.
Like it would just,
yeah.
It would explode and another sun would form.
I love the design, like I said, though, of Starkiller Base. And then some of the backstory on Starkiller Base, not in this movie, but from a couple other Star Wars properties, namely some comics.
Like the one where C-3PO gets his red arm?
That is in a comic book, yes. Also in the game Jedi Fallen Order, I know you're
Is
playing
that canon? Because they're
Yes.
they're making a show out of it, right?
No, not that I know of. They're not making a show off of Jedi Fallen Order. They're making a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, the game. They're making another game, but there's no plans for a show based off of it.
Okay.
So, extremely minor spoiler for Jedi Fallen Order. It is not a big deal, and I'm usually like a spoiler.
It's all a dream.
I'm usually like a spoiler protectionist and everything, but I have no problem saying this. You can still play Jedi Fallen Order and enjoy the heck out of it. There is a planet that you go to in Jedi Fallen Order called Ilum. And this is a planet that exists. It was originally created actually for the Clone Wars TV show for an episode called The Gathering. And what Ilum exists as is a planet that is like has this crazy high density of kyber crystals in its mines and caves and stuff. And so the Jedi Order, once Padawans have sort of completed their initial training and need to build their first lightsaber, they take a big group of these, graduates essentially to Ilum, and they are sent into the cave, and their kyber crystal calls out to them. This is The Gathering. It's this beautiful episode. It's an awesome. There's Ahsoka and Yoda and just all this cool.
When was this made?
The Clone Wars show. This would have been like 2010, maybe.
Oh, okay, because that's Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
The one chooses the wizard, Harry.
Anyway.
That's really funny.
So that's The Gathering. Takes place on Ilum. And then in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, a video game that came out about 4 years ago or whatever, some of the missions and stuff, you travel to Ilum, and that's actually where your character finds his kyber crystal and everything. Now, here's how this connects back to Starkiller Base and Episode 7. At the end of Jedi Fallen Order, there's an epilogue. Again, not a major spoiler, but you can choose to go back to Ilum after the events of the video game, which is just before Episode 4. And what you see on Ilum is the Empire starting to mine around the equator of Ilum. And it is revealed in that moment that Starkiller Base is made out of Ilum because of the kyber crystals that are there. So, get this. The Empire, under Palpatine and Vader, like long before Episode 7, they discover Ilum. They know that this is where the gathering would take place for the Jedi. They start strip mining it, just getting kyber crystals out of the land with no care for the history or sanctity of it. And they start pouring it into the Death Star to make this super laser. Well, after the 2 Death Stars blow up, they realize that they, instead of building a 3rd Death Star, they can just make this whole planet into the weapon, and that's what they do. So that is the origin of Starkiller Base, which is such a fun story. I just love that.
I am shook.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Which, as far as like the lore goes, that makes more sense of maybe why the planet might be able to hold that energy in, because the core of it could just be like kyber crystals or something.
It's
like
literally just
something.
It's all energy. Like that planet is built out of like force energy.
Yeah,
which is a
bonkers.
Crazy concept. The other cool thing is that it helps a little bit if you've just seen the movies, for instance, you think, wow, the First Order has only been around for like a couple of years. How the heck did they cut a hole in this planet? All that kind of stuff.
All right.
What helps to realize is
like
that
30 years.
the Empire had been working on it for almost 40 years, actually.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That helps kind of clear up some of that anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so that's really cool. Last positive thing, I said that these were bullet points. That was a super long one on accident. I just love the scene of Rey touching the lightsaber and getting this whole like vision, and you have the voices of so many key characters. What if it was just hello there?
Just like, what?
Yeah.
What?
That's just an amazing scene. I just wanted to shout that out. So there you go.
No, that's... I actually really like... What I like best about it, all the things you said, but I think the treatment as far as like story, but also development of Rey.
Yes.
Because I have a theory that we will flesh out in the next episode, but I actually think, based on my theory, this was a great development in how they were going to treat her and move forward with her.
Yeah.
I just think she's great.
She is.
What did you like least about the film?
Yeah. Two things. I realize this is turning into like a classic Joseph answer. Two things. One of them's really simple and like dumb, and then one of them's really like deep and philosophical. But the thing, this sucks to say, I will freely admit, doesn't really count even. The thing that I don't like the most about episode 7 is not a fair criticism of episode 7. It's knowing how the trilogy ends.
Yeah, that's fair.
We'll talk about this in a couple episodes from now, but like, man, episode 9 saps so much of the magic that this movie sets up.
Yeah, that isn't fair. I get it. I totally do, but I will say I don't think that's fair necessarily.
Yeah. So, with that in mind, if I'm going to answer this in 2016 or whatever, right? That's just a random metric. If you're not, if you want to take that out of the equation, that's, I think, a fair thing to do. It is my least favorite part of the movie is how blatant of a cliffhanger it ends on. And we've talked about this a few times, but Star Wars has never had this bad of a cliffhanger ending. Episodes like, let's see, episodes 1 and 2 and like, I guess 5 kind of leave you, wanting more. That's a pretty natural thing for like not the end of a trilogy to do. But like, this is so blatant. Like episode 7 literally brings you to Luke. Like you get to the end of episode 5, for instance, think about this. You get to the end of episode 5 and there's like plenty of things that need to happen and that you want to see happen. You know that they got to get Han out of the ice. You know that Luke and Vader have to have this big final confrontation. But you can reasonably feel at the moment that credits roll that is going to be in the future. There's like distance that needs to be traversed, and there's time that needs to pass. But episode 7, like they could have just ended it. I'll put it this way: they could have just ended it with like, oh, we have the map all put together, and it's like Leia and Rey looking at each other like he's out there, like we'll find him.
They could have literally ended it with the scene where she flies away.
Yeah,
and leave it at that.
That
like where
also
she
that
looks,
too. Yeah,
where she looks at Chewbacca and she goes, "This is my life now."
Yep.
And then
that would have been
the
perfect.
Millennium Falcon flies away, and Leia is on the ground seeing it fly away.
Yep.
And then that's
right.
Yeah. Like they could have done that, and
yeah,
they were like, "No, let's add an extra 5 minutes to the film." and have a scene where Rey is holding a lightsaber for an ungodly amount of time.
It is literally. I had to pause and like I didn't have to I suppose, but I had to. I finished the movie and I was like, how long is she standing there? I went back. It is over a minute that they like, but after she is done walking up those steps, it is over a minute that they are just standing there staring at each other. What the
you know
heck?
You know what? It's an end credit scene that they just put at the end of the movie. Like that could have been an end credit scene and it would have worked.
Oh, that would have been
like
fun.
It would have worked. It would have worked as an end credit scene because that's essentially the beginning of the next movie. But they're going to be like, Star Wars isn't Marvel, so there are no end credits.
Yeah,
and
which is bogus because they have end credits. Well, this is in retrospect, but they have end credits in the TV shows.
Oh, there you go. But they just, they were like, we're going to plop it at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I didn't like that. How
about you?
I think that aspect, a lot of the things that I didn't like when I first watched it, I've actually come to like them.
Mm-hmm.
For a long time, I had a lot of issue with when Leia and Rey meet for the first time. Chewbacca doesn't hug her, and Leia and Rey embrace. But what the thing I think about, or the theory I have, I think actually kind of wraps that up a little bit, like cleans that up.
Interesting.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's just a couple aspects of there's some couple cinematography things that are very J.J. Abramisms.
Sure.
That, it's like you don't have to do these in every movie.
Yeah.
Like lens flares. There's a million lens flares.
Yeah.
But I love it. I don't know. I really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, me too.
Who was your favorite character in this movie now that we have so many new ones and old ones too?
This might be my clearest answer to this question, not just of all the questions of this episode, but this might be the clearest answer I have to this question on any of the episodes that we've recorded. My favorite character in this movie is Kylo Ren. And I feel
because he's you.
What? What does that mean?
Wasn't there a point? That's a jab. That's called a jab. There was a point where they were basically saying that Kylo was all the Star Wars fans who were the most vocal and most annoying, just complain, who are just angry about stuff.
Oh man!
So that's where the fits.
I've never heard that.
I enjoy Kylo.
Yeah, Kylo for me is, again, I mentioned this earlier with Finn too. This movie is filled with really compelling characters. There's a case to be made for probably 5 different people being my favorite character in this movie. But for me, Kylo is the one that just sells this era of Star Wars and this trilogy even. I think that the conflict in him is made so apparent. And that is we talked about the parallels between episodes 4 and episode 7, but the biggest difference in our masked antagonists that wield red lightsabers and wear modulating masks, the biggest difference in them is that Kylo Ren is super unstable. He has a lot of unbridled anger and aggression. He's reactionary, as opposed to Vader is super reserved and disciplined and knows what he's doing.
Nah, I disagree with that. Because I think Darth Vader's very reactionary. All those chokeouts, it's all reactionary. But I think that Kylo is so visual and physical about it.
Sure.
The reservation from Darth Vader comes from like how he implements his scare tactic, his intimidation.
Sure.
And his intimidation is, I will kill you with barely moving a finger. And Kylo is reactionary in the same way, in the sense of like he reacts quickly and violently.
Yeah.
But his violent is with his physical body.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's
true.
the difference.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that Kylo is so compelling because you can, I'll put it this way, like the simplest of terms, right? You can sense the conflict in him though. There's the scene where he's like sort of praying to like Vader's helmet, saying like, I feel it again, the pull towards the light. That's not something you would ever have heard Darth Vader say, you know?
Right.
The scene where he ultimately ends up killing Han Solo, but on that like balcony and stuff.
Spoilers.
Oh, we've talked. Come on, we're an hour and a half into this. Like now this is the spoiler section of the podcast. We're approaching like the length of the movie pretty rapidly. Anyway,
let's get through it.
Yeah. But you can sense the conflict. The scene with him talking to Han Solo.
Right.
I remember being in the theaters and like you kind of know that he's going to kill Han Solo. Like they're setting it up, you know, with.
But you also believe that maybe
Yeah.
he is
Yeah.
turning to the light.
I
because
had
he's so
feeling
conflicted
in the theaters. I literally thought I remember my mind racing in the theaters going like, is he about to like throw his lightsaber away and like come with Han Solo and like the rest of this trilogy is going to be about like him trying to take down whoever this big shadowy, we didn't know his name at that time, but Snoke,
Right.
you know? Like I thought that was where it was going for a second. And I was like, whoa, dang, like we did not get to spend a lot of time with this bad guy. And then he kills Han Solo. And I'm like, oh,
Right.
there he is. Anyway,
right.
Kylo's my favorite character though. Like so well written, so
That's fair.
well acted. I think Adam
Yeah.
Driver might have been the best actor of this whole trilogy. He's incredible.
He has major points for sure.
How about
My
you?
favorite, Rey.
Ray, yeah.
I love her journey.
Mm-hmm.
I think Daisy did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
And she has this nice balance of being hopeful and does not trust people
Yeah.
all at the same time, and it's very good. And she's so we'll talk about it more. So here's our cliffhanger for it. But I think because it answers it, I think it does answer it. I think Rey is the prophecy. I think she is the prophecy, not Anakin. She is. This will make more sense in the next one. But if that is the case, her relationship to the Force makes so much sense throughout this journey, where it's almost like the Force is calling to her the entire movie. The Force is saying, "You know we're here. Let me show you what world you can be a part of." And they don't like they don't physically, but they don't explicitly say that.
Yeah.
But that's what's occurring throughout the story, is that her battle is accepting that there is something more than the life she had before.
Yeah.
That there is something greater, and that she can be greater, that she can be more. Her battles within herself of... So Kylo sees the greatness of Darth Vader, and he wants it. He's so desperate for it, and he's always fighting for it, and he fails, and he keeps fighting. And his thing is that he's not as good as Vader. That's his problem, is that he's not living up to those expectations.
Yeah.
And Rey's arc is she has everything she needs to be that Messiah character, that thing that lives in harmony with the Force, but she's afraid of it and she won't accept it.
Yeah.
And so she's going through this whole movie denying her greatness while Kylo is not accepting his weakness. And you have those two juxtaposed against each other. And it's lovely. It's great writing. It's all of that. But awesome. I really like Rey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move forward. Now it's time for the review rewind.
Wait, do you want to look anything?
No, I don't.
Was
there something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, go for it. So was there something you didn't understand about the film, or something that you have left?
Yes. So much. I'm just kidding. Not a lot. A couple more, just like, these are quick bullet point items. But I think this movie, more than any other movie previous in the saga, has a lot of just little idiosyncrasies that don't make a ton of sense upon like super close inspection. Mostly because in some ways some times they're going for nostalgia and they're whatever. But a couple things. Number one, Han is so quick to think that his son is gone forever. Like, dude, do you remember how freaking Darth Vader turned back to the light side? Like, I know your character's job is to be the grumpy old cynic, but even you talk earlier in the movie about the Jedi and the Force and about how all this stuff is all true. Like, you gotta have some faith, my dude. Your son is not gone forever. Okay. Number two, how would Rey have known about Jedi mind tricks? She's in that one chamber in the...
And that's actually... I don't think that's a plot hole as much as... I think that the Force is working within her.
Okay.
I think that's because the only advice she ever gets about the Force is to close her eyes and to focus.
Yeah.
And then what is to say that the Force isn't the thing that is telling her what to do?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, that's where I always thought that fair. Too, but I feel like maybe there's more to the whole thing that, you know.
Yeah. Fun fact about that guard, by the way. That guard...
Is that Daniel Craig?
Daniel Craig, yep. James
Bond.
That's
hilarious.
Yeah, similar along the lines. Number three I have is... you just talked about this. We'll talk about this in the future. But, like, how can Rey hold her own? Not just hold her own, let alone, but, like, handily defeat a well-trained Sith Lord with training from both Luke Skywalker and Snoke. Like, over the span of a couple of days, maybe. Like, that's wild.
Yeah. The mind thing, I think, makes sense. And everyone always talks about the, like, fight at the end. Like, Kylo is critically damaged. Yeah. Like, there's a good chance that if he didn't get picked up, he would have died from his injuries alone, not just the planet blowing up.
Sure.
So, like, he's very hurt. It's just, I don't, you know.
You can also make the case in Rey's favor for she has her staff, and, like, she may be really adept at, like, combat.
But if you look at how she fights, it's staff-oriented.
Yeah.
Like, it's what she would do if she had her staff. I noticed that this time, that I was very, like, it's a very odd way, but, like, if you're an injured Kylo, it's a very aggressive method.
Yeah.
And it would be hard to kind of, like, hold your own while your side is, like, damaged. Like, you're weighted on one side. Yeah, that makes sense.
Han and Finn, this is number 4. Han and Finn taking Phasma prisoner and just having her, like, turn off the shields. That seems pretty ridiculous to me. The movie is too quick to just have her be like, oh, okay. Not to mention she's literally wearing armor and all they have is blasters. Like, there's just no consequences for the heroes. They just get to turn the shields off because they capture this very well-armored and trained person.
They should have, like, shot her in the leg or something.
Yeah.
Like, there should have been something bigger.
Definitely. And then last one, I don't know what exactly causes R2-D2 to wake up from his low power mode at the end of the movie. Luke is not nearby. Nothing else has actually changed about their situation, but R2 just turns on.
Han's death was the one that was the catalyst, man. He was just waiting for that old battle act to die.
Yeah.
Now it's time for the review rewind. Look at critic reviews from when the movie was released, which is easy because it wasn't that long ago. Right. Joseph will read a positive review, and I will read a negative, and we'll see where we personally hit the mark. Just to make note before we do this, it generally has a good overview. It's a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like an 80 on Metacritic, and it's like a 7 point something on IMDb, I think. So overall, pretty positive. Probably except for maybe Empire Strikes Back, like one of the more positive Star Wars movies.
And 4, of course.
Yeah,
the original, of course. But
yeah. But there were enough critics panning it that I don't know if it had the overall good grade. So
this generally does rank 3rd on Rotten Tomatoes, and on Metacritic it's 4th, whatever. But yeah, it's generally up there. Here's the positive review from the Wall Street Journal. Wall Street Journal gives it a 100 out of 100, perfect score. It says this, and I think this is actually a really fair assessment, and I would agree with this. Rarely have age and shining youth been juxtaposed more affectingly, but that's only one of many moments of grace in a movie that mines its resonant mythology while moving its story ever forward. I think this is what you were talking about at the very beginning of this recording, about how we can't think of another franchise that could have ever pulled this off, or that has pulled this off.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I like it. I think that's solid.
Yeah, I agree.
Our negative review comes from Salon, that gave it a 40. You can choose to understand The Force Awakens as an embrace of the mythological tradition in which the same stories recur over and over with minor variations. Or you can see it as the ultimate retreat into formula. There are moments when it feels like both of those things, profound and cynical, deeply satisfying and oddly empty. I think that has validity.
I think that's a fair critique. Yeah.
I think the critique is accurate. I just don't know if I would go so far to say that that critique bears a 40.
Sure.
Out of 100. You know,
that's a really low score.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So what are you grading it?
Yeah. No secret. Again, I love this movie through and through. This gets a solid A from me. My overall feelings, again, it's an amazing movie in terms of its quality. It's also a massively significant movie for me personally. It's one of the best in the saga. And it's, for me, actually, arguably the most rewatchable movie in the saga. Just in terms of that, again, that minute by minute, beat by beat. Yeah. It's just fun. So, whoops, hit my microphone on accident. Sorry about that. So, a solid A from me. It is the second A that I've given. There's also one A plus from me. So, it's tied for second place overall right now.
Have I given an A?
You have given one A plus.
Okay, then this one will be an A minus.
Okay.
I love the movie. It's great. I think you have a great point about rewatchability. It introduces so many great characters. Finn's story arc is fantastic. Rey's story arc, fantastic. Kylo Ren's story arc is fantastic. Poe is a great character. I actually think the movie benefited the most from using him sparingly. Because I think he's a great character, but I don't know if he needs to be the main character. and they did that really well. He's awesome.
Yeah.
The music, cinematography, everything's great. It just falls short for, certain things where either continuity, things that don't make sense, some visual things, and then blimey, that ending. That ending
yeah.
might be the entirety of that minus.
Sure.
Yeah, so A minus.
Not unfair, yeah.
Interesting. Alrighty, well, yeah, I think our lists are not as far off. I just think I'm more critical about certain things.
Yeah, looking at it right now, I have rated a movie lower than you only one time. You have rated a movie lower than me
every other time.
2, 3, 4 times, and we have two.
One that's two that's the same.
Ties.
Well, there we go.
Interesting.
So join us next time as we get into probably the most controversial Star Wars, and I mean this because spoilers. I don't think the last one's controversial in the way that I am saying that this one is controversial.
Yes.
I'm saying this one's controversial because it has some deep fans and it has some deep haters. And
the term you're looking for is divisive. This is
divisive.
Episode 8 is the most divisive Star Wars movie.
Yes. I think that is going to be very true.
Yeah.
I think my grade for it is going to surprise people. But I also think
I'm excited.
I also think some of the things we talk about might be surprising too. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So make sure you're
here we go again. We can never stick the landing.
Make sure your kabuki crystals are nice and shiny, and rewind your DVDs and review your parents. I don't know.
Wow.
But we'll see you next time. All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you when The Last Jedi comes out.
Woo! Bye, everybody.
All right, bye.